and welcome to today's video. My name is Clara, and aside from being a tropical houseplant enthusiast, I am a wife and a mother of two and a homemaker. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you my entire monstera collection, my sad monstera collection. Many of these plants, despite having them for a long time, are still small. I have a tendency to take cuttings very eagerly in order to sell them off and fund the hobby. There's really nothing new. There's really nothing fancy or hot on the market. These are just, I think, more along the lines of your basic rare monstera, but it is still my beloved monstera collection. And I hope that if nothing else, this video will serve as a progress marker when I come back perhaps in a year or even at the end of the summer and share how all of my monstera are doing. I do plan to leave them alone after evaluating them today, and I've determined that I do want to grow them much more big, beautiful, and mature than they're looking right now. So if anything, this video will mark their journey of me leaving them alone and letting them grow beautiful. So without further ado, you can see here is my Monstera albo small form. And this was the very first rare plant I ever purchased. I bought her back in 2020. It was in, I believe, February or March, and this was right before the pandemic kind of reached my area. So life was still kind of normal, so to speak, and I had not yet fully dove into the plant hobby. I was already collecting plants as far as commons. I think I had a regular green monstera and a bird of paradise and some strings of something. And so that had already begun, but this was my first rare plant purchase. And I remember saving up. I remember tediously searching for the perfect cuttings. I mean, I did loads of research to educate myself about how to grow from a cutting, what to look for as far as leaf variegation and balancing and stem striping and aerial roots. And the seller of the cuttings I bought, although he had them listed for sale on Etsy, available to be shipped, he only lived one state away from me. I am in North Carolina and the seller was up in Virginia. It was about a 4-hour drive, and as nervous as I was, I decided to take the drive up to Virginia instead of having them shipped. I'd never had a plant shipped to me before. The seller was so kind and gracious. For my drive up to him, he even gave me a free cutting. The day I picked up this Monstera albo was such a great day, and I have such fond memories of this plant. It's always grown well for me over the years because, wow, that was 5 years ago, and I know you're looking at it thinking this is really small to be a plant you've had for 5 years. And as I said at the beginning, I've always been eager to take a cutting when I can, anytime I repot, or sometimes when the wind blows right. I've chopped the whole thing down, sold the cuttings, started over. At its best and at its largest, I had it growing up a plank, and the plant itself was maybe 2 feet tall. Still not very huge, but it had at least like 15 or so leaves. It was a really beautiful plant, but here we are again. And as I said, I'm determined to let it grow now, because I'm at a place now in my collecting where buying new things is not quite as important as just really appreciating the plants that I have. And it is kind of sad, and I honestly am having a little bit of a personal reflection moment here, because when I bought these cuttings, I envisioned how beautiful the plant would look once it was mature, once it was big and bushy and full. And after 5 years, I've still never gotten there. And so here's how it looks today. I currently have 3 vines in this pot grown from 3 cuttings. I've mounted them onto a plank, which I actually did in a recent video of mine. It's growing in leca, as it has been for 4 out of the 5 years I've owned it. Leca is my preferred medium for monstera. There are a few that are more of a rehabby situation, and I do have them in moss, but this is my Monstera albo small form. I have to give a lot of credit to this plant because this is what sparked the joy and the journey of rare plant collecting. I think it's so beautiful and special. I know that they're so common these days. I know that there are loads more people who have a better specimen than mine, but I do really love this plant. The next plant I have to show you is smaller in overall size, but I am happy with the progress of this plant in the time that I've had it. I have only cut this plant once, and it is, of course, Monstera Burley Marks Flame, a beautiful plant that we all kind of went crazy over when it first was released or introduced to the public. And although I wanted one pretty badly right at the beginning, I did choose to wait until prices fell. I think I only paid $100 for a cutting of this, and I've grown it from a cutting. I did take one cutting myself when I was up potting it into the cup it was in before this one, and I think it's grown well. I think it's gone at a very good pace. I've also recently mounted it to a plank. It's rooted super well in Leca, and it's a very happy plant. I know that what we're all after is the claw. Once it matures and once it fenestrates and has those beautiful claw-shaped leaves. But I think this looks really cool too. These kind of like look like little, I don't know, daggers or almost like claw. They do look like claws, but more like a tiger's claws or something. I don't know. I really do appreciate it as it is. I'm equally excited for it to mature, climb onto the plank, and fenestrate. But this is my Monstera Burley Marks Flame. There isn't much to the Monstera collection, so I think I'm going to go ahead and show you some sad looking things so that I can finish off with some nice looking things. This is what's currently left of my Monstera Berries Jungle Mint. And I will not lie or pretend that I'm not absolutely heartbroken. I do have to take back what I said. This isn't all that's left. There is a leafless node cutting that I'll grab next. Please don't ask me what happened, guys. I don't know what happened. When I filmed for you my 2024 plant tour, this plant was, I would say, thriving. I think this was the largest leaf size I'd gotten to after purchasing a pretty small established propagation. And from what I can remember best, because this happened right at the beginning of winter time, when I also had a lot of other problems going on at the time, from what I can recall best, the plant essentially outgrew the cup it was in. It was extremely root bound. I can't even remember now if it was in moss or leca. I want to say moss, although I don't really know why I would have had it in moss at the time because it was doing well. Needless to say, the root system outgrew the cup it was in. It became very root bound, and due to that, dried up way sooner than I anticipated, and I don't even think I noticed. Watered it with a normal volume the next time, and rotted, I think, almost all the roots. That quickly, just within a couple days, they were all gone. I remember being sick to my stomach because jungle mint, Berries jungle mint, is not as easy to find as Monstera mint no ID. And there is a difference apparently, and I specifically like the Berries mint. And the fear of losing this plant entirely was very overwhelming because they are hard to find. I had spent money on this. It was actually the second Berries Jungle Mint I'd ever bought because the first one was a huge disappointment and it gave me no variegation and then it died. And so I did everything I could to rehab this. I immediately removed it from whatever it was in, and really cannot remember, moss or leca. But I did remove all the rot. I treated it with, I think, hydrogen peroxide, repotted it, and this time I know I put it into moss as kind of like a rehab substrate. There were still a few viable roots, and they just kicked the bucket. They just quit in the moss. This whole thing took just a few days. I would say less than a week from the time it was doing well. The first epidemic of root rot happened. I treated it as soon as I could, removed all the rot, repotted it, and then the rest of the roots died. It was honestly, maybe it happened within 5 or 6 days. It was really tough. So then I went completely bare bones, just put it in water with an air stone, and it has been in water for months. This is what we have. Let me put this up against that darker leaf. I have one healthy looking little root coming out of this. This was a 3-leaf top cut, and the only leaf held on was the most recent leaf. One by one, the older leaves yellowed and fell off. While it was rehabbing in water, it also got scale, which I think contributed to the leaf loss of the other leaves. And I've just been waiting to feel like we're in the clear. And it's been months. I mean, this is a really good sign, that beautiful, healthy root. And there are 2 nodes on this plant in addition to this top leaf being, having a petiole where a new leaf would come out. There was another piece to this. I know that this chunk is very short. There was another piece to this, which I elected to separate. As this all was happening and I was trying to come up with the best game plan possible, there were, I think, 3 more nodes, and I think they were leafless by this time. I chose to separate them so that I had 2 pieces to work with. I thought of it as maybe doubling my chances. If the top cut went south, at least I had those other nodes. And if the other nodes didn't make it, at least I had the top cut. And so the second portion that I removed from this actually activated a growth point. And the growth point was developing. I think I even had a few new roots. And so this was just maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I take it out of the water to celebrate and to examine that it's gonna make it. I've got a new growth point active, and I dropped it. It was just a little tiny piece of stem, no leaves, minimal roots, and one little tiny growth point that it had developed enough to where it just was like poking out. And I dropped it. And the chances, but that when it fell, it landed on the growth point and the growth point broke off. And once again, gutted, absolutely sick to my stomach. I didn't even know what to do with it at this point. I don't know why. Ask me if there's any rhyme or reason. There's not, because this one is still in water with an air bubbler, maybe because it has a leaf. And the other portion at that time, I just decided it's going in a cup, it's going with moss, I'm gonna put a lid on it, and I'm not gonna look at it because I think it's gonna die and I think it's gonna rot. But I'll grab it now and show you how the other part of my berries jungle mint is doing. I honestly feel like I shouldn't disturb it at all. If something happens while I'm filming this for you guys, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I can't tell you if this was the growth point that broke off and now it's coming back, or if this was a second one. Because remember, this was a 3-node cutting. But let me turn it kind of like this. You can see it there. A growth point has activated. And how do I turn it the other way? If I turn it this way and point and get you super close. So I have 2 active growth points on this section, just a 3-node section, and I wouldn't be surprised if that growth point that was broken off, if that just completely rotted out. I don't see any root development through the cup at all. So I don't know how that's going, but at least there's active growth points. So that was the worst of the worst. This is the saddest monstera in the collection. Everything else is not actively dying. Everything else, even my rough looking ones, are a lot better than this situation, but they're not like glamorous. I'll grab them. And then, like I said, don't worry. We're gonna end on a high note. I have 2 monstera that are doing perfectly fine. You know, actually I have more than 2 monstera that are doing fine. I forgot about them. Anyways, here's another semi-rehab. And I don't even think I can demonstrate to you very well what this is. This is Monstera compacta. And this is currently a 1-leaf top cut that has survived. I don't know what I did, you guys. I don't know. I was comfortable with Monstera before I was comfortable with Anthurium. Did that comfort lead to me being overly confident? Maybe. Did that comfort lead to me being neglectful? I think that's more likely. There's really no good angle for this. Monstera compacta is a cute thing. I know that there's a variegated version, but I just like the green version because I do adore the idea of a large form, all green Monstera deliciosa. I don't have the room for that, and I don't know if I ever will. So the idea of like a dwarfed version of Monstera deliciosa is just cute. Like, it's a desktop Monstera, and this used to be doing much better than it is now. It did have scale at some point, like many other Monstera in the collection. It also rotted all of its roots at some point, like several of my other Monstera. And again, I can't tell you what I did wrong. I can't tell you where exactly things went south, but it's been a winter's worth of rehab and SOS, and this was one of the other ones. Now, thankfully, this one's doing a lot better than that mint. I do have another piece to this, and it's doing fine. It's actually just a mid cutting that I have in the cabinet. Do you want to see it? I mean, she's simple. Mid cut, 2 active growth points. I think I took this cutting before the decline of the main plant with the intent to just sell and make a little bit of a profit, because I think Monstera compacta is still kind of uncommon. But unfortunately, nobody cared at all and nobody was interested. And so I just still have this mid cutting and it's just working. I don't know if this top growth point is viable anymore, but the other one has just taken off really well. And so I can say now Monstera compacta is in the clear. It's just not looking gorge yet. It'll be a while. I'll try if I can to put up a few pictures of what it was looking like at its best in my collection, which was I think in the fall, and now we're in the next year's following spring. Winter was just hard on a lot of my collection, if I'm being completely honest. Winter was very hard on my collection. I'm just happy that I have not entirely lost anything, and that the things that did decline are now going back up. They are doing better. So Monstera compacta, honestly, not much to show, not much to talk about. I mean, the photos I'm putting on screen are probably way more worth your while. And thankfully, guys, I think we're done with the sad things because everything else is doing well. Next is Monstera cereana. I don't know, you guys, is this Brazil common form or Mexican common form? I have heard it interchangeably, and I've heard them both called Monstera cereana. So I don't know what is terminologically correct, but here's Monstera cereana. Doing very well. I don't think I've ever had a single issue with this plant, aside from it contracting scale, which was not its fault. I do believe it's fully recovered from the pest, and it's doing super well. I will say this plant tends to have super long internodal spacing, and so very quickly it becomes like too big for my shelves and too tall for my grow light. And although I want it to continue to mature, because this isn't really the end of what I'm looking for, I want more than this. I have had, I think, 2 rounds of taking a top cut, keeping only the top cut, and selling off cuttings, just because I think in general people are a fan of this plant. It's not expensive, it's not that hard to find, and so it's worked well for me. I've kept the top, which in theory will keep maturing, even though, like, I don't know what we're doing here. All 3 leaves on this top cut just have 1 fenestration. Maybe the plant is tired of being cut. Maybe it needs a more established root system in order for it to fully mature. So like I said at the beginning, I know, tisk tisk, shame on me. Clara has done poorly. I have not given these plants what they deserve, and many of them I have not allowed to grow to their full potential because I'm too snippy snip with it. But it's doing well. It's doing super well. I still have 2 mid cuttings of this that I guess nobody wanted. Maybe I priced them too high. 2 cuttings that are doing well, pushing out their first new leaf now. And so Monstera cereana, just, I'm happy to say is doing well. After showing you those 2 rehabs that were just really sad, very happy to say that everything else is doing well. Here is beautiful Monstera cereana. Still small, but I've got nothing bad to say about her. She's just working on it. She's growing up, and she's gonna look beautiful when she's mature. She's gonna look so beautiful. I think plans for this are, once it is super well rooted in this little cup, I'll do an up pot and introduce a plank and then not touch it again for like years, I hope. So let's get to the next one, shall we? Now this is the only new plant I have to show you. Everything else that I have talked about today, I've had it for at least a year, but this is Monstera large form green on green. Let me see if I can get that to show. I have to play with like the lighting because it could almost look like a shadow or a highlight. Here's a leaf that's got good color. This leaf was on the plant when I bought it. This leaf has less color, but you can still see it right there on the upper corner. And then this is the first leaf that's grown with me. It is still kind of soft, and I don't think the color has fully burned in, if you like to think of your plants similar to a Polaroid photo, but it's got great color. It's, can I just make it so that you can see? Okay, I think I'll stop fighting it. I don't think it's gonna work with me. 2/3 of this half is the variegated, the green. A sliver of this half is the green also, and then there's a patch in the middle of the variegated part that's regular. If you don't know, Monstera green on green is actually really cool. I mean, picture the Monstera albo that I showed you at the beginning, but there's no white and there's no mint. It's only the dark classic green and patches of 1 shade lighter green. It is variegation. It's just green. I think I've said green 100 times. Anyways, I just got this plant. I really did. It was about a month ago, month and a half. I did my variegated plant haul video and I showed this to you. And then this is the first leaf that it's given me since it's come. The roots are doing really well. I have transferred them from a soil mix, which is what it came in, to moss. And yeah, I'm getting new growth in here in the moss. And the plant's just really cute. I mean, Monstera green on green is it's a subtle variation of your variegated Monstera. It's really cool. And I'm really happy that this new leaf in my care had good color, because the first 2 leaves, the leaves that it had when I bought it from the seller, oldest leaf had great color, newest leaf had minimal color. So it was kind of like, well, is it heading in a downhill direction or not? And it's not, because the leaf that it grew in my care, even better color than the first. So I'm just very pleased with it. I know it's not much to show, just it's the idea of it, I guess. Just the idea of it. Just imagine with me how beautiful it will look when it's gotten some maturity and some fenestrations on it, and when I can show it to you in a lighting that showcases the color. Can you see it like that? Guys, I really don't know if you're able to see anything at all. You may think I'm absolutely nuts, and I'm just showing you a full green juvenile monstera, but it's not. It's variegated, and it was super cheap, like 60 bucks. So green on green monstera, you guys. I've got two more. I don't know which one is my favorite. They're both in the top. They're both excellent. But just for sake of who knows, I'll show you the smaller of the two first. It's my Monstera Thai Constellation Creme Brulee. Now look at that and try to tell me there's no such thing as creme brulee. I dare you, just try. Let me bring it up closer. Oh, this plant went through a rehab too, you guys. You might not even be able to tell because she's looking so phenomenal. This plant lost nearly all of its roots at the beginning of winter as well, but it's such a strong plant. People have talked about this before with the creme brulee. Rehabbed in water very well. I only think it maybe lost one leaf. The other leaves unscathed, except for this highly variegated section had a little bit of browning. And then this leaf right here, the one that's the absolute showstopper, is the first leaf to unfurl since the rehab process was, I guess, done. And I put it in this pot right here. So I talked about this plant when I did do that plant tour that I've referenced a few times, but just for any new subscribers, hi, welcome. Thanks for being here. So over in Thailand, they were producing Thai Constellation like crazy via tissue culture, making hundreds, if not thousands of plants at a very fast rate. In the process, there was a unique mutation. One of those little tissue culture babies turned out to have spectacular marbled variegation that tended more on the creamy side than on the yellow side. It was stronger, more robust. The roots were less prone to rot. It was just like a Thai Constellation, but better. And so, of course, they knew that this would be a highly sought after specimen. So what did they do? It makes total sense. Feed it back through tissue culture, tried to make more of them. However, everything that came out of tissue culture when they tried to recreate this one turned out just the same as all the other regular Thai. So I want you to think of creme brulee like a glitch in the tissue culture matrix, okay? It was created via tissue culture, but it's not really a part of tissue culture anymore. It cannot be recreated via tissue culture. I'm sure that they're trying, and it cannot be reproduced through tissue culture. So the only way to get your hands on a true creme brulee is if you can get a vegetative cutting of the original. In my next video, I'm going to dive in depth about clone versus self, and this is more specific to Anthurium. But in this sense, for today's purposes, when you take a cutting of a plant, whatever grows from that cutting is a genetic copy of the mother plant. So I'm proud to say that this is a genetic copy of that mutation that occurred, of that original creme brulee. If you've received a Thai Constellation creme brulee that was a product of tissue culture, it came from tissue culture, maybe you had to deflask it yourself, or maybe it was freshly out of that process, what you received was their attempt to recreate this, but it's going to grow up to be just a regular Thai Constellation. Kaylee Ellen, I think, even tried to buy in a few creme brulee from Thailand when her shop was still running, and it was kind of a, let's see if this is a real thing or not. She concluded that it wasn't a real thing because all of her creme brulee babies that she got turned out to be regular Thai. But that tracks. That makes sense. You can't make a creme brulee via tissue culture. Again, you have to have a cutting of it. I do stand on the side of the argument that it is a real thing. There is a distinct difference between creme brulee and regular Thai. I mean, look at it. And I don't have another Thai to show you as a side-by-side because why would I need a regular Thai? I got rid of mine. I had one. I had a standard Thai Constellation, but after buying this beauty, I said, get out of here. You are subpar. This is excellent. And it is doing very well because, like I said, it was another victim of the winter. Roots rotted and I tried to save it. It was the same time as the jungle mint, you guys. The same week, the same day I discovered the rot issue in the jungle mint is when I discovered it here. And if anything is proof that the creme brulee is just a strong version of Thai constellation, it's this. Because you saw what I had left of the jungle mint. And this is what I have left of the creme brulee. It's doing so well. I don't know if this is my favorite monstera or if it's the next one. I'll show you the next one now. And how about you just tell me in the comments which one of these last two is your favorite? Okay. Struggling to fit the plant and myself in the frame, but I want to give you a good angle of it. So you've seen this already. If you've seen a previous plant tour or my recent plant chores video, she is Monstera albo large form. So many things to say, because this is a critical subject for many in the hobby. There is a prevalent problem where people will have a small form albo that's very mature and they will be scammed into thinking it is a large form albo. I think I'm able to show you, I don't know, how I know this is a large form is because of the internodal spacing at the very least. I mean, this thing is a tree, not a vine. Your next question is, Claire, this is not an albo. That's a green on green. And it looks like it. It definitely does. Here is the best evidence of its albohood. We're making up words here today. So here's the thing with this plant, and I'm just going to set it down again. I'm sorry that I'm not able to contain the whole thing in the frame so that you could see all the leaves. Can't even see me. I mean, you didn't click on this video to see me, but I feel like at the very least, my face should be in it. So, bought a 1 leaf cutting of a half moon large form from a respected seller. And you know what it's like with half moons. Gamble. I took the gamble because I really wanted a large form monstera. And the first leaf that came out had a tiny bit of white variegation. I was so pleased. The next leaf that came out had no variegation, and I was so disappointed. At that point, I had convinced myself the plant was reverted, that the cutting I bought did not have enough variegation in the genes for it to continue into the new plant, and I tried to sell it for like $100, and nobody even wanted it, because who's going to pay $100 for an all green large form Monstera deliciosa? Nobody. So nobody bought it, and I'm really glad that nobody bought it, because after, I think I still have the leaves that I'm talking about. I kind of thought that they had died off. This one here was the second leaf that grew that was all green. Now that first one I just talked about, I don't have that one. After this one grew, I tried to sell it. After nobody bought it, then this leaf grew. I know there's some grow light burn here. Please overlook the grow light burn, because this, I'm just trying to demonstrate it did have variegation again. So I was super relieved that nobody bought the plant, and I was very excited that it was just a one-off, just a green leaf, and the plant continued to grow well in my care. After that one that I just showed you grew this showstopper leaf with the beautiful albo variegation that is proof that this plant is an albo, despite what happened next. Here's the leaf that happened next. And you might be thinking, oh, that one turned out all green. What a bummer. No, actually, there is great color on that leaf. I want to show it to you so badly, but just like the problem with the green on green monstera I tried to show you, my light source here is not going to allow green variegation to be that visible. Why did it become green? Why? It was an albo. I bought it as an albo. Any variegated leaves it gave me had albo until that one. Can I show it? I gotta try, right? Okay, this should be the thumbnail, I think. This is quite a frame. The reason this one, that's kind of the most centered leaf in the frame now, it had variegation, plenty of it, great color. You just can't see it on screen, but it was green variegation. I determined after the second leaf that did the same thing, this one right here, that oddly enough, mine, I don't know if this is true for all large form albo, mine is dependent upon heat and light to give you that white variegation. And the last two leaves I showed you, this one included, grew during the colder months. So they grew in the winter with lower light and lower heat, and I don't know why. It just green instead of white. Kind of cool. I kind of love it because now the plant as a whole has 2 leaves with a green on green variegation and 2 leaves with an albo variegation. I think it's a really pretty blend. It still has great color. I'll show you the stem of this leaf, the one with green. Not the stem, it's a petiole. I promise I know what I'm talking about. Here, can you see the striping there? It's absolutely stunning. And then just this week, I have this one that opened up. Still very soft, still can't see all of the color that well, but you can see this section right here. And I'm really hoping it turns out albo. It is spring now. It's gotten hot in this room. Just last week, it was in the 80s in this room, and I have a new grow light that stands right in front of this plant. So I do think that that's going to bring back the albo color. Also on this leaf, as we're gaining size and as we're gaining maturity, if I turn it, and I may have to zoom, but you've got the ruffled edges on the top of this petiole that does again kind of confirm its heritage as a large form. And so I've got great expectations for this plant. I'm so happy and I feel so privileged to own a large form albo. I gotta say I was a little bit mystified at its behavior for a while when it was giving me those green leaves, and I would be disappointed if it never gave albo again. I would absolutely cut it back to the last albo leaf because I have the green on green. I'm not as crazy about the green on green as I am about a true large form albo. But I'm pretty excited and pretty hopeful. I think I have every reason to believe that with more heat and more light, it'll turn back to white variegation. So just getting my favorites here in the frame for you so that I can wish you all a great day. Thank you very much for watching my monstera video. And again, like I said at the beginning, I plan to leave these alone now for the most part. With the exception of this large form, it has outgrown its pot. It does need a repot. And when I repot, I will be cutting it. I know I will because I can't say no to that opportunity for a little bit of cash. But other than that, everything else is going to get left alone for a little bit. Thank you so much for watching, and please stay tuned. It might be a couple months, it might be a year, but I'm definitely going to do another monstera video so that we can check back in and see how beautiful they look then. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!